Have you ever, during a game, looked around at everyone at the table
Yeah.
and kind of had this realization that the characters that you're all
Mm.
interacting with,
Mm.
they feel like they have
Oh,
these whole lives and stories and things that go way beyond just your
absolutely.
immediate quest or whatever you're doing.
You're hitting on a really important point there.
Yeah.
I actually had something like that happen just the other week in my own campaign.
Really?
One of my players, they totally went off the rails
Wow.
and completely derailed this big plot point I had planned, all because of
Oh, no.
well, no, it was great.
Okay.
It was a really exciting session, but it all came down to their relationship with an NPC.
Interesting.
And it was kind of a risk to like build up these relationships and make them so central,
Yeah.
but it was so worth it.
That's so good.
It was the most exciting session we've had in months.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually what we're diving into today. We're talking about how those seemingly, kind of minor characters,
Right.
the NPCs, can really become this key to unlocking like a truly immersive and unforgettable game.
Absolutely. And, it's easy to fall into that trap of treating NPCs like they're just there to give you a quest or...
Yeah, like a walking encyclopedia or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just giving you information. But they can be so much more.
Right.
When you start thinking about NPCs as individuals, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
they have their own motivations and their own histories.
Yeah, own relationships with each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just with the party.
Then the world just opens up.
So then why are these NPC relationships so important to a campaign? I mean,
That's a great question.
couldn't we just have nameless shopkeepers and like generic guards?
I mean, we could, but think about it.
Yeah.
Real life isn't like that.
Right.
Our choices are influenced by so many things.
Right. Our relationships, the people we know, the communities we're part of,
Exactly.
past experiences, all of that.
And why shouldn't it be the same for our characters?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
If like I'm playing a character who's, spent their whole life in a small village,
Mm-hmm.
it would be so strange if I didn't have any connections to the people there.
Right.
It just wouldn't feel real.
You're totally right. It
Yeah.
wouldn't feel like a real place.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing when you craft those relationships.
Yeah.
You're basically like weaving the fabric of the community, right?
Yeah.
You're showing players how all these individuals interact,
Yeah.
and you're making those interactions matter.
So give me an example.
Okay. So let's say we've got a baker
Okay.
who's secretly in love with the blacksmith,
Okay.
but their families have been feuding for generations.
Yeah. Woo drama.
Right? Or what about the tavern owner who's secretly an informant for some powerful noble?
Okay, so right away you've got intrigue.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I can see how that would start to influence player choices too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, your players need to find out some information
Right.
about a local bandit leader. And maybe they could just barge into the tavern and just start asking questions.
Yeah, just straight up.
But what if they're actually friends with the tavern owner?
Right.
Now that owner is put in a really tough spot.
Yeah.
Do they betray a friend, even if that friend is a criminal?
It's a dilemma.
Exactly. And now the players have to think about that.
Or what if they know the bandit leader's sister?
Oh, even better.
Now there's a personal connection,
Right.
which adds a whole other layer of complexity.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's those personal stakes that
And-
make the campaign feel real and engaging.
Yeah.
It's not just about completing the quest. It's about navigating, this whole social landscape.
It's about relationship.
Exactly. And the choices you make have consequences.
Okay, so I'm a dungeon master.
Mhm.
I'm listening to this
Mhm.
and I'm thinking, okay, this is awesome, but where do I even begin?
Yeah.
How do I start crafting these complex NPC relationships?
Well, first, don't worry.
Okay.
It's not as daunting as it might seem.
Okay.
Just start with the basics.
Okay.
Think about your world. What are the major factions or groups?
Okay.
Who are the key players within those groups?
Okay.
And what are their goals? What are their motivations?
Okay. That seems manageable.
Right.
So I've got these key players.
Yeah.
How do I start connecting them?
That's the fun part.
It can't just be random, right?
No, it's got to make sense.
Yeah.
Think about shared histories.
Okay.
Maybe two of your NPCs served together in a war,
Okay.
but now they're on opposite sides of this big political divide.
Interesting.
Or maybe they were childhood friends
Okay.
who had a falling out over, I don't know, a romantic rivalry
Ugh.
or a betrayal of trust, something like that.
I can already see how those shared experiences
Right.
would really shape their current relationship,
Exactly.
add that tension.
Yeah, and it creates opportunities for conflict,
Ooh, conflict.
which we love.
Yes. Always looking for ways to add more conflict.
Because that's what keeps things interesting.
That's the engine of the story.
Exactly. But, it's important to go beyond just good versus evil.
Right.
You got to dig deeper.
Yeah.
Think about different types of conflict.
Okay.
Political rivalries, economic disparities.
Right.
Cultural clashes, personal grudges, ideological differences.
So instead of like a horde of orcs attacking a village, maybe we have 2 orc clans.
I love that.
Who are fighting for control of the territory.
Yes.
And the players get caught in the middle.
Now you're talking. Now you're not just fighting faceless enemies.
Right.
You're navigating this whole web of conflict.
You're understanding the why.
Exactly. And there are multiple perspectives and potential outcomes.
This is really making me rethink how I design encounters.
I'm so glad.
It's not just about combat.
Right.
It's about understanding the motivations behind these conflicts.
Exactly.
Yeah, and how that might create opportunities for the players.
I love it.
And, it doesn't have to be like this huge world-shattering conflict.
Right.
Sometimes the most compelling conflicts are those personal ones.
Totally agree.
Yeah, like a family feud that's been going on for generations.
No.
Or maybe a love triangle.
Ooh.
That threatens to tear a community apart.
Those are the stories we love.
Yeah, those are the ones that players can really sink their teeth into.
They tap into something universal.
Yeah.
Love, loss, betrayal, ambition.
All there.
It's all there.
It's all so fascinating. But I can already see how things could get really messy.
Oh, yeah.
If you're not careful.
It's a delicate balance.
So how do you manage all of these interconnected relationships without overwhelming your players?
Well, that's where good planning comes in.
Okay.
And a little bit of restraint.
Okay.
You don't want to overload them with too much information all at once.
Right.
Start small.
Okay.
Focus on a few key relationships.
Okay.
And then gradually expand that network as the campaign goes on.
So like introduce a handful of NPCs.
Yeah.
With, connections to each other.
Right.
And then slowly reveal more about their pasts.
Exactly.
And their relationships with other characters as the players interact with them.
That's a great approach.
Okay.
Because it keeps the players engaged and allows them to discover the world organically.
They're not just being bombarded with information.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about shared histories. We've talked about conflict.
Yeah.
What other elements should we consider when we're crafting these relationships?
We got to think about the personalities of your NPCs.
Okay.
Are they boisterous and outgoing?
Right.
Are they quiet and introspective?
Yeah.
Are they cynical and distrustful?
Right. Give them some flavor.
Exactly. Give them quirks, flaws, aspirations.
Make them feel like real people.
Make them feel real.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So instead of just saying, this is Bob the blacksmith, he makes swords.
Right.
We say, this is Bob. He's a gruff but kind-hearted blacksmith.
Yes.
Who dreams of crafting a legendary blade worthy of a king.
I love it.
But he's haunted by a past mistake that cost someone their life.
Now you're talking.
Yeah.
Now Bob's not just a quest giver.
Right.
He's a character with depth.
A real person.
He's got a past, a present, and a future.
Yeah.
And all of that can be woven into your story.
This is making me want to go back and rework all my NPCs.
I love it.
The possibilities are endless.
That's the beauty of it.
Okay, so we've got shared histories, we've got conflict,
Yeah.
we've got personality.
And what about secrets?
Ooh, secrets.
Secrets are like gold.
Right? They add that element of mystery.
Exactly.
They can really drive your plot forward.
Okay, so how do we incorporate secrets into those NPC relationships?
That's a great question.
Without, making them feel too contrived
Right.
or predictable.
It all starts with motivation.
Okay.
Why is this information being kept hidden?
Right.
Who benefits from keeping the secret?
Mm-hmm.
Who would be harmed if it were revealed?
So it's not just about having a big reveal.
It's about understanding the context
Exactly.
and the potential consequences.
Precisely.
Okay.
So for example, let's say we've got this seemingly harmless shopkeeper.
Okay, harmless shopkeeper.
Yeah, but they're actually a deposed noble with a
Wow.
claim to the throne.
Oh, wow.
Now that's a great secret.
That's a good one.
But it's even better if we understand why they're keeping it a secret.
Right.
Maybe they fear for their life.
Right.
Maybe they're waiting for the right moment to strike.
Yeah, to take back what's theirs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that gives the players something to work with.
Yeah, they're not just uncovering the secret.
Right.
They're uncovering this whole web of motivations and potential consequences.
And those consequences can ripple out
Yeah.
and affect the whole campaign.
They can change alliances. They can spark new conflicts.
Exactly.
Create opportunities for the players to get
I
involved.
love it.
I'm starting to see how these seemingly minor characters
Yeah.
can really become the driving force of the story.
That's the power of NPC relationships.
Yeah.
They add intrigue, they create opportunities for dynamic storytelling,
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately they make the players feel like their choices have real meaning in the world.
It matters.
It matters.
I'm already brainstorming ideas for my next campaign.
I love to hear that.
But before we go down that rabbit hole,
Yeah.
I think we need to shift gears a bit.
Okay.
And talk about how to make these relationships matter to the players.
Yes.
On a personal level.
That's where the real magic happens.
Okay, let's get into that.
We can craft the most amazing, complex, intriguing NPC relationships in the world.
Right.
But if the players don't care,
If it doesn't matter to them.
it's all for nothing.
Right.
We got to make those NPCs matter to the players.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, we tie those NPCs into their backstories.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So it's not just about the NPCs' relationships with each other.
Right.
It's about their relationships with the player characters.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Think about it. Family ties, shared past quests, cultural bonds.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the NPCs was even a mentor to one of the player characters in the past.
Okay.
So, for example, let's say you have a player character who's a rogue,
Okay.
and they pride themselves on their independence.
Right. The classic rogue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They slip in and out of any situation unnoticed.
Mm-hmm.
But what if that rogue discovers that a beloved mentor from their thieving days is now like a respected member of the city guard?
Oh, wow.
Now that unexpected connection forces the rogue to confront their past and question their choices.
Yeah.
Do they uphold their own code of honor?
Right.
Even if it means betraying someone they once cared about.
That's a good one.
It's a powerful dilemma.
Yeah, it's not just choosing sides.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about those personal loyalties, the consequences of your past actions.
That's awesome.
And these connections don't have to be dramatic or, earth-shattering. Sometimes a simple shared experience can forge a really strong bond between a player character and an NPC.
Yeah.
Maybe they both witnessed a traumatic event.
Okay.
Or they fought side by side against a common enemy.
They have that shared history.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It creates a foundation of understanding and empathy.
Makes the relationship feel real.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where collaborative world building can be so powerful.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
Encourage your players to contribute
Yeah.
to the backstories and motivations of these NPCs.
Yeah.
Give them a sense of ownership.
Get their world too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, for example, maybe one of the players mentions that their character grew up listening to these tales of a legendary warrior.
Okay.
Well, guess what?
What?
That legendary warrior can become an NPC in your campaign.
Easy.
Right? Maybe they're a retired mentor figure, or maybe they've fallen from grace. And the player character has to confront their childhood hero, who's now a shadow of their former self.
That's powerful stuff.
Those are the moments that stick with players long after the game is over.
Yeah, it's more than just rolling dice and fighting monsters.
It's about the characters.
Yeah.
It's about the relationships.
Okay, so these relationships don't have to stay the same.
No, they can evolve.
Throughout the campaign.
Just like in real life.
Right. Like people change, relationships change.
Exactly.
So give me an example.
Okay, so imagine you have two powerful warlords.
Okay, warlords.
Yeah, and they're constantly at each other's throats.
Classic.
They've been rivals for years.
Okay.
But then this massive invading army arrives, threatening their entire region.
We got to work together.
They got to put their differences aside.
Wow.
And your players,
yeah,
they could be the ones to broker that alliance.
Oh, that's good.
Right?
Yeah.
They have to negotiate the terms, navigate their suspicions.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
And it allows them to directly influence what happens.
Wow, but what if the alliance crumbles?
Ooh.
What if one of them betrays the other?
Now things get really interesting.
Yeah.
The players have to choose a side.
Yeah.
Or maybe they try to salvage the alliance.
Yeah.
It's high stakes.
That's great.
No easy answers.
I'm going to make a whole campaign about feuding NPCs.
I love it.
But it could get messy.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
But with good planning,
okay,
you can make it work.
So what's an example of something that could really throw a wrench in the works?
Okay, so let's say one of the warlords
Okay.
has a secret heir.
Okay. A secret heir.
That nobody knows about.
Nobody knows.
And this heir is actually more sympathetic to the player's cause.
Wow.
And they're willing to work against their own parent.
Wow.
To forge a lasting peace.
Now the players have a hidden ally.
Exactly.
in the enemy ranks.
Someone they can potentially manipulate.
Oh, man.
Or persuade.
To help them achieve their goals.
The possibilities are endless.
This is so cool.
I know, right?
Okay, speaking of betrayals.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a specific archetype.
Okay.
That always brings the drama.
Hit me with it.
The mentor and the traitor.
Ooh, a classic.
I love a good betrayal.
It's like Game of Thrones.
It's the best.
Right.
So what does that look like in D&D?
Okay, so imagine one of your player characters has this beloved mentor, maybe a wise wizard, a seasoned warrior, a cunning rogue.
Okay.
They've learned everything from this figure.
Right. They trust him.
They trust them completely.
Yeah.
But then...
Oh, here it comes.
They discover that their mentor has been secretly working against them all along.
Gasp.
Right? Or maybe it's not even a betrayal. Maybe it's a misunderstanding.
Okay.
The mentor thinks they're doing what's best for their student.
Okay.
Even if it means pushing them away or making difficult choices.
So there's like moral ambiguity there.
Exactly. It's not black and white.
Yeah.
It's not clear-cut good versus evil.
The mentor thinks they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Even if their actions are misguided.
Oh, that's a tough one.
It creates so much opportunity for role-playing.
Yeah.
You know those nuanced interactions
where
the players have to try and understand the mentor's motivations and decide, can they forgive them or do they have to confront them?
Oh, that's so good. I know, right?
Okay, so speaking of those nuanced interactions.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the actual role-playing of these relationships.
Okay.
Because coming up with these dynamics and backstories, that's one thing.
It's the first step.
But bringing them to life at the table.
Exactly.
That's a whole other challenge.
That's where the magic happens.
So how do you, as a dungeon master, really capture the essence of those relationships during a game session?
It's all about conveying emotion.
Okay.
And subtext.
Okay.
Using your tone of voice.
Okay.
Body language. Even subtle choices in your dialogue.
So like show, don't tell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, we have two NPCs who secretly despise each other.
Okay. But they have to be polite in public.
Like that forced smile.
Intimate.
Backhanded compliment.
You got it.
Yeah.
So as a DM, you could use a strained tone of voice when they're talking.
Oh, I like that.
Or maybe have one of them roll their eyes when the other one isn't looking.
Oh, that's good.
Think about the way they address each other.
Yeah.
Do they use formal titles or nicknames?
Right.
Is there a hint of sarcasm in their voice?
Ooh, those little details.
They make all the difference.
They add so much. They help the players understand what's really going on.
And it's not just what you say, it's how you say it.
Right.
So picture this.
Okay.
One of your players is trying to convince a king.
Classic D&D.
I know, right?
Yeah.
To send troops to aid their cause.
Okay.
Now, instead of the king just flatly refusing or agreeing, let's introduce an advisor.
Okay, an advisor.
Who secretly wants more power.
Ooh.
So maybe that advisor whispers in the king's ear.
Ooh, sneaky.
Trying to manipulate the conversation.
Or maybe they openly contradict the player.
Oh, wow.
Challenging their claims, sowing seeds of doubt.
So now there's uncertainty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The players aren't dealing with just one decision maker.
Right.
They're navigating this whole web of relationships and power dynamics.
That's what makes it feel real.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because in real life, decisions are rarely made in a vacuum.
Right.
They're influenced by relationships, personal biases, hidden agendas.
Okay, so we've talked about conveying emotion, managing complexity.
Yeah.
What else can we do to really make these relationships flourish?
Don't forget that NPCs are more than just plot devices.
Okay.
They're individuals with their own lives and their own goals.
And sometimes those goals might conflict with what the players want.
Exactly. So instead of just having NPCs passively waiting around for the players to show up, maybe they're actively pursuing their own agendas.
That makes sense.
Which might put them at odds with the party.
Okay, so give me an example.
What if one of the NPCs that the players have befriended is secretly working for a rival faction?
Gasp.
Right?
Oh.
Now they have to choose between their loyalty to their friend and their commitment to their own goals.
Oh, that's rough.
I know, right?
Okay, so those choices make the campaign memorable.
They make it real.
Yeah.
Because it forces the players to confront their own values.
Yeah.
Their priorities.
What matters most.
Exactly. It's not just about what's right or wrong.
Right.
It's about what matters to you and the people you care about.
I'm so inspired.
I love it.
I'm thinking of all these ideas for my campaign.
You got this.
Okay, but before we get too carried away,
Yeah.
I think it's time to talk about some specific examples
Okay, let's do it.
of these NPC relationship archetypes.
That can really enhance your campaigns.
Okay, hit me with it.
All right, so first up, we have the classic rivalry turned partnership.
Ooh, I love this one.
It's a good one.
So what does that look like?
Okay, so think about two NPCs who are constantly at odds.
Okay.
Maybe they're competing merchants or squabbling nobles.
Okay.
Or rival mages always trying to one-up each other.
Oh, I could already see the potential for chaos.
Oh, yeah.
And comedy.
Lots of banter.
Yeah.
So what could possibly force these rivals to put their differences aside?
Yeah, what could bring them together?
Okay, so imagine this.
Okay.
A powerful artifact surfaces.
Okay, a powerful artifact.
Yeah, and it's rumored to hold the key to unimaginable power or wealth.
Ooh, everyone wants it.
And both of these rivals want it.
Okay.
But neither of them can get it alone.
So they have to team up.
They have to work together.
Begrudgingly.
Oh,
that's going to be so fun to watch.
It'll be great.
Yeah.
Think about the role-playing opportunities.
Yeah.
All the banter, the negotiations.
Yeah, and the players get to be right in the middle of it.
And they can choose sides.
Ooh.
Or maybe they try to manipulate the situation to their advantage.
Oh.
Or what if
They
discover a hidden clause?
Ooh, a hidden clause.
Yeah, in some ancient prophecy.
Okay.
That says the rivals have to work together.
To unlock the true power.
Exactly.
Oh, that's a good twist.
It turns a simple rivalry into this complex puzzle.
Yeah, with high stakes.
Exactly.
Okay. What other archetypes can we use?
All right, next up we have the star-crossed lovers.
Ooh, a classic.
A classic for a reason.
Yeah, why is that?
Well, it taps into those deep-seated desires for love and connection.
Okay.
But it also introduces elements of forbidden romance.
Okay.
Societal pressures, tragic consequences.
Ooh, the drama.
Right.
So how would we represent this in D&D?
Well, imagine a player character who is a noble.
Oh, a noble?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bound by duty and tradition to marry someone they don't love.
Oh.
But their heart belongs to someone from a different social class.
Okay.
So it's a forbidden romance.
Forbidden love.
If it's revealed, it could have devastating consequences.
Like Romeo and Juliet.
Exactly. And the players have to make those tough choices.
Right. Do they follow their heart?
Do they risk it all for love?
Or do they stick with duty and tradition?
It's a classic dilemma.
And we can tie this into backgrounds.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like noble or faction agent.
Perfect.
To represent those societal pressures.
Exactly.
Or maybe there's a cursed item.
Ooh, I love that.
That binds the lovers together.
Yeah.
But also brings misfortune.
It's a bittersweet connection.
It adds another layer.
Exactly.
To the archetype.
That's more than just a simple love story.
So speaking of complexity, let's talk about an archetype that I think is going to really challenge the players.
Hit me with it.
Emotionally and morally.
Okay.
The mentor and the traitor.
Ooh, that one always hits hard.
Yeah, we've all been there.
I know.
Someone we trusted let us down.
It hurts.
It does.
So how do we bring that to D&D?
Yeah, how do we do that?
Okay, so let's say one of your players has spent years training under a respected master.
Okay, a master.
They've learned everything they know about their craft, whether it's sword fighting or magic or even thievery.
Okay.
That master has become more than just a teacher.
Right. They're like family.
Exactly. They're a friend, a confidant.
Yeah.
But then
now here we
comes the betrayal.
Yeah.
They discover their mentor has been secretly working for an evil organization.
Yes.
Or maybe they're being blackmailed into doing something they don't want to do.
That's awful.
I know, right? It throws everything into question.
Everything you thought you knew about this person.
Gone.
Yeah.
And now the player has a choice to make.
A tough choice.
Do they confront their mentor?
Right.
Do they try to help them break free?
Yeah.
Or do they turn their back on them?
Sever that bond.
Maybe even turn against them.
Wow, that's heavy stuff. That's going to lead to some interesting role-playing.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, well, we've covered so much today.
Yeah, we have.
We've talked about why these NPC relationships are so important.
Right.
How to craft them effectively and how to bring them to life at the table.
It's all connected.
It is. But before we wrap up,
I
want to give a shout out
to
LitRPG Reads and Paul Bello.
Yes.
They're great resources for anyone who wants to learn more
Absolutely.
about RPGs and creative writing.
For both players and dungeon masters.
Exactly.
Couldn't recommend them more.
So now for our final thought.
Okay.
The one we want you to think about.
Yes.
As you go back to your own games, what's the most surprising or impactful moment you've experienced in a game because of a well-developed NPC relationship?
Ooh, That's a good one.
Share your stories in the comments below.
We want to hear them.
Yeah, we're eager to hear how those relationships have enriched your games.
And left a lasting impression.
Because sometimes it's those seemingly minor characters,
right?
The NPCs.
The ones who walk beside us, who really shape our destinies.
They make our stories unforgettable.
It's all about those connections.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Into the world of NPC relationships.
Until next time.
We'll see you next time for another exciting exploration.
Yes.
Of storytelling and game mastery.
It's the moment of truth their mentor betrays them.
Oh, man.
It changes everything.
Yeah.
And now the player has to decide what to do.
Yeah. What are their options?
Well, they could confront the mentor.
Okay.
Try to understand why.
Yeah.
See if there's a way to help them break free from whatever's controlling them.
Okay, so maybe there's a chance for redemption.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or they have to make the hard choice
to
turn their back on their mentor.
Wow.
Sever that bond and maybe even turn against them.
That's intense.
It's a tough situation.
It is.
Full of emotion and moral dilemmas.
This is why we love D&D.
I know, right?
Okay, so we've talked about all these different ways to create these compelling NPC relationships. But I think it's time to wrap things up.
Okay.
Any final thoughts?
Just remember to have fun with it.
Yes.
Experiment, try new things.
Don't be afraid to break the mold.
Exactly.
Make it your own.
And most importantly, make those NPCs matter.
Yeah, it makes them feel real.
Because when you do that, your whole world comes alive.
Well, that's it for this deep dive.
It's been fun.
Into the world of NPC relationships.
I always love talking about this stuff.
Me too.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us.
And to everyone listening out there,
keep
those dice rolling.
And keep those stories going.
We'll see you next time
For another deep dive.